Hey Canucks fans, could a potential injury to Quinn Hughes derail his Calder Trophy chances? I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clay Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Tuesday, March the 3rd. And I want to say thank you to everyone who watched my long form 21-minute vlog last night called The Joy and Pain of Being a Sports Parent. And I reflected on my experience not only from this past weekend when Jake and Kayla were bowling in Kelowna at a provincial tournament, but overall the past 18 years in being a parent to Sean, Jacob, and Kayla, all really good athletes in their own right. And I just talked about the joys and the pains, the motivation, the challenges, the pitfalls, and the blessings that come from having kids involved in sports. So if you haven't checked it out already, I invite you to do so. Again, block off 21 minutes if you want to watch the whole thing. It's up on my YouTube page. I tweeted about it earlier. I'll tweet about it again later today. And I especially encourage you to check it out if you are a parent of a kid or kids who do sports, whether competitively or recreationally. So I really appreciate all the feedback I've been getting both on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram, and on YouTube itself, and I'm glad it's resonated with a lot of people. So once again, thank you for watching it, and I encourage you to go check it out. For today, don't worry, I'm not going to go over 21 minutes on here, but maybe 8 or 10. I want to talk about the ramifications of the injury news that we learned earlier today. So we already knew that Brock Besser, Jacob Markstrom, of course, Josh Levo, Michael Ferland, all those guys have been hurt, and they will be hurt for a while still. And then we find out earlier in the day that the Canucks recalled 2 defensemen from the Comets, from the Utica Comets, and that was Brisebois and Chatfield. So we're wondering, okay, what's going on, what's happening? But they didn't make it to practice. But then all the defensemen that are at practice come out wearing the gray jerseys, not the blue, not the white, but the gray practice jerseys that are generally reserved for non-contact guys. But then it wouldn't make sense for all the defensemen that are playing, for all of them to be wearing it. So it was Chris Tanev, it was Troy Stecher, it was Alex Edler, it was Oster Fantenberg, and it was Jordy Ben. So that means that Quinn Hughes and Tyler Myers were not at practice today. Of course, we found out later that all the defensemen were wearing the gray non-contact colored jerseys because they didn't even have 6D, so they couldn't run 3 pairs. They couldn't do any normal drills that takes rotation of 3 D pairings because they only had 5 guys there because Chatfield and Brisebois hadn't made it with the team, so they hadn't made it to the team yet. They weren't practicing in Vancouver, so they only had 5 D-men, so they decided to put the gray jerseys on them, the practice jerseys, and then just worked them in, rotated them in to all of their drills. Once again, they didn't have a full complement of 6D. So then, of course, we worry about Hughes and Myers, especially Hughes, and also Jay Beagle wasn't at the practice either, but we know that he's been hurt because he missed last game as well. So Quinn Hughes and Tyler Myers, and we think back to the last game against Columbus, that horrible collapse where Quinn Hughes barely played in the last bit of the last period. So then are we worried that he's got some sort of lingering injury, or are they worried that maybe it's not a big injury, but they're trying to take do a more precautionary way so that he can play tomorrow night? They didn't say much. All Travis Green said that Hughes, Myers, and Beagle were all day-to-day, and there's a chance that they may play tomorrow night. So very cryptic. So he didn't say anything about Myers. He didn't say anything about Hughes. But the good news with Hughes is that we saw footage of him. He took a skate on his own after the Canucks practice, and he was doing some work, some skating work, and he looked fine, just from the small clip I saw. I think it was Jay Janauer that posted it on Twitter. So maybe they just wanted him to avoid contact, avoid overexerting himself. But the good thing is he was on the ice and he looked good. He looked fine. So hopefully Quinn Hughes plays tomorrow. Don't know about Tyler Myers, and I would guess that maybe Jay Beagle's gonna be out for a little bit more. But I haven't heard that from anyone. Just more of a hunch. But it got me thinking about a couple things. The first thing is the Canucks are in the thick of this playoff chase. We talked about they got to win 9 or 10 of their last 17 games to guarantee that playoff spot, and you obviously want your best defenseman in the lineup, that being Quinn Hughes. The other thing I thought about too, and I've been talking about this a lot over the past couple weeks, the last month or so, you guys know that I think Quinn Hughes is the favorite to win the Calder, not the dark horse or the underdog. I think he's the favorite because he has more points than Cale Makar, and many people, especially Colorado fans, will say, well, Cale Makar has a much better points per game pace. It's not much better. It's the difference is negligible. Hughes has 51 points in 64 games. Makar has 47 points in 56 games. That works out to 0.80 points a game for Hughes and 0.84 points per game for Makar. So the difference is 0.04. And I've been saying all along, as you guys know, that if Hughes ends up playing 81 games, out of the 82, he only missed that one so far. If he ends up playing 81 games and he wins the rookie scoring race, I think he's going to win the Calder Trophy because he'll show to be very consistent and very durable and very reliable. But if this injury is more serious than we hope that it is, and he does miss any time, then that kind of shoots a little bit of a hole in my hopes and in my theory, because there's a chance that then he'll slip behind Cale Makar in the rookie scoring if Hughes is out for a long extended period of time, which I doubt he is. I think if so, he wouldn't be skating so well after practice by himself, right? And there's also a chance, of course, not only that he loses the scoring race, but then that he'll come further off of that 81 game mark that I was hoping he would achieve, and then I can't use that answer about durability and reliability and consistency, because then he might only play 70 or 75 games as opposed to 81. But again, I'm very optimistic given what the footage I saw, that he will indeed get back to the lineup and that he will be playing tomorrow. And if he doesn't play tomorrow, maybe he only misses 1 or 2 games and not a whole whack load of games. So I don't think it really dents his chances, especially when we heard the news that Cale Makar is also out day to day as well. So imagine that Hughes and Makar missed the same amount of time, whether it's 1 game or 5 games. But imagine if it's the same amount of time, then Hughes will still have that 4-point lead over him in the rookie scoring race, and the points per game for both of them won't get changed until they start playing again. And then Hughes maintains his 8-game lead, and that 8-game lead or 8 more games played kind of works both ways, right? I think it speaks to his consistency and his durability. Others will point to Makar and say, well, he's got a much better points per game. But I just made the point that it's not much better, but it is a tiny bit better. But I don't think that's going to be the biggest factor. I think it's going to be Quinn Hughes winning the scoring race, like I said, and showing his durability. But what was really interesting when I was preparing for this vlog and I looked at the games played of Quinn Hughes, and I remember he only missed 1 game way back in November. I remember Elias Pettersson has only missed 1 game back early in February. That was the one where it was that late scratch against Minnesota. But what was really interesting is I looked at the injuries, and not the injuries, but I looked at the games played, and maybe it's because there's only 3 digits there, a 4, a 5, or a 6, and I tweeted about this just before I press record here. The top 11 scorers for the Canucks, when you look at their games played total, it just looks weird. It's kind of fascinating, not creepy, but it's neat, because all you see are 4s, 5s, and 6s. You see like a couple 4s, but mostly 5s and 6s. And hear me out. This is what I mean. And if you want to see my tweet, you'll visually see a better visual representation of this. But playing in all 65 games so far have been 6 Canucks players, and that is JT Miller, Bo Horvat, Tanner Pearson, Jake Virtanen, Tyler Myers, and Chris Tanev. Actually, there's 7, and there's Troy Stecher as well, but he didn't show up on my screen capture because he's played less games. So 6 of the top 11 scorers have played all 65 games. Again, JT Miller, Bo Horvat, Tanner Pearson, Jake Virtanen, Tyler Myers, and Chris Tanev. Playing 64 games, just 1 less or 1 fewer are Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, as I talked about. They've only missed 1 game each. Then there's a big drop, and there's guys that have played only 56 games. Again, a 6 and a 5 in there. That's Brock Besser. And then at 55 games, 2 5s, are Adam Gaudette and Alex Edler. And Edler was hurt early in the season. Gaudette was a healthy scratch for the first little bit of the season. So it's either 65, 64, 56, or 55. And it's hard for me to do this justice just verbally, but if you see it, I think you'd agree with me. It just looks strange when you see that whole list. Not included in that list is Troy Stecher, who's further below in the games played, but he's played all 65 games as well. And Jay Beagle has also played 55 games, so another 5-6. So I just found it kind of neat when I was doing research for this vlog and this topic today that all their games played totals have the digits of 5 or 6 or 4 in it. And when you see them listed all one by one after each other, one after another, it's really noticeable. And what's really interesting is Jay Beagle, 55 games, Quinn Hughes, 64 games, Tyler Myers, 65 games. So if Myers misses any time, it'll break his Iron Man streak for this season, one of only 7 players to play all 65 games. If Quinn Hughes misses, I think it's not so much about 64, 65, whatever. The ramification for me is the longer he's out, I don't want it to hurt his Calder Trophy chances. And for Jay Beagle, a good penalty killer, staple on the 4th line, and you want him back as as quickly as possible too, because he solidifies things on that bottom line for sure. And speaking of that bottom line, it got switched in practice. They brought Tyler Mott back down to it and moved Zach McEwen up to the third line. So as the Canucks practiced today, it was the top line of Pettersson, Miller, Toffoli, the second line of Horvat, Pearson, and Vertan, and once again, third line of Gaudette with Roussel and now Zach McEwen, and then fourth line of he's not there, Sutter, Mott, and Louis Eriksson. So Louis Eriksson has dropped from second to fourth line in the past week or so. So that's how the Canucks practice. And then, like I said, no D pairings because they only had 5 guys there. So hopefully Hughes can play tomorrow. Hopefully Myers can play, and that means one of Fantenberg or Ben would sit. But we will see what happens tomorrow. So there we go. Just some food for thought. I didn't go for 21 minutes, but I went for 11 minutes after all. Really want to talk about Quinn Hughes, the effect that would have if he doesn't suit up for the next few games, the effect it has on his Calder Trophy chances, and really just the fact that it was a bunch of weird games played totals, 56, 65, 64, 56, 55, I think I said that twice, whatever it is. Take a look at my tweet or just take a look at the games played for the Canucks and you'll see exactly what I mean. So Canucks fans, how worried are you about Quinn Hughes? Do you think it's fine? Or did you also see the video of him practicing by himself afterwards? And are you encouraged? Are you not worried? I'm not worried. You know, you kind of hope for the best, you plan for the worst, but admittedly, I'm not too worried. The fact that I saw that video, I fully expect him to be in the lineup tomorrow and he'll continue to solidify his grasp on that Calder Trophy. Canucks fans, let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply a little later after my bowling. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Hope that wasn't too painful trying to listen to me rattle off all those game play totals, all those digits, all that math. But check out my tweet and you'll see exactly what I mean. Have a great day. God bless. Go Canucks, go.